So you had pretty drastic reaction to the implant, right?
Yes.
So it's possible a lot of women may have mild symptoms and they can't attribute to that. But have you seen other drastic cases?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen like an entire spectrum of response, and I've seen everything from like people who are completely bedbound that are look like a chronic fatigue syndrome patient, and people who were like thought that they felt great and just removed their implants because they heard they had chemicals, and then experienced like a massive kind of like inflammatory de-inflammatory process where they just looked way better than they did before, like aesthetically, and looked thinner. And like one of my close friends actually ended up explaining because of what I went through, and then she just lost a lot of weight, and she thought it was like weight she had from having a baby, and thought it was just like, oh, this is baby weight. And then as soon as she explained, she just like now it's interesting because we're segueing into like, what does it look like when someone's healthy with implants, and do you have to, if you have implants, do you have to have symptoms even if you're aware or not aware?
Yeah.
Right. And I get it, right? So, I think that the answer is that there is a possibility that you could be healthy with breast implants. I think that process is dependent on your body's ability to make nice scar tissue capsule around your breast implant. That's the basis of my patent for this formula, is creating a nice scar tissue capsule. In plastic surgery, they talk a lot about the antithesis of a good outcome is that capsular contracture, where it's like too thick and hard and it pulls and that's like what they really worry about.
Right.
And like with anything in the body, like an overreaction is a negative outcome and an underreaction is a negative outcome. So we're thinking about balance.
I see. I've definitely seen women with contractures, and it's not pretty, and they have to go back under the knife to correct that.
Right.
So you're saying that the formula you've designed is possible to prevent the over encapsulation or connective tissue formation and under.
So I would say that this formula supports a healthy scar tissue formation, which includes balance. So preventing is the role of a drug, right? So
treading on,
but yes,
cautiously.
But as a physician that recommends this formula, you can talk about the the chemistry of like what these ingredients do in the research. I don't really have that luxury as a vendor, but I can educate doctors, and so.
Yeah. So how long ago did you start to work on this formula?
Yeah. So I say my R&D cycle is 6 years, because I go back to like my first day of being sick. But really about a year for developing the formula, and I just launched it a couple months ago. And yeah, we're essentially a startup, but it is for sale online, and I hope to one day have it in surgeons' offices so that they can, recommend it to all of their patients that get implants, so that, they can support them well through that process and sort of enhance the patient's experience with silicone devices.
I see. So how many ingredients are in your formula?
I don't know how many. I've never counted them. I have a bunch of spreadsheets at home, because I kept taking things off and putting things on, and then I would be like, oh, I'm going to add this in to support the cofactor of this ingredient. But basically there's three blends. Like one is a collagen blend. So the intention is to support that capsule formation. It does it in a unique way. It's actually supporting the process in which our body, when it secretes histamine, can break down collagen. So it's sort of supporting the histamine pathway to prevent the breakdown of excess collagen.
Okay. And so that supports the capsule, the integrity.
Exactly. And another great side effect of supporting the collagen pathway is that it can be, in a way, like a beauty supplement. So a lot of people who've taken it have called me and said that they feel like their skin looks tighter, that they are seeing cosmetic beauty effects. If they have flushing as an issue, which is can be a consequence of excess histamine, they're seeing a dampening of that redness, which is kind of cool. And there's a lot of stuff that happens in the gut related to histamine, so it's not uncommon to experience gut change, positive gut motility changes. None of those are in my claims, although I might down the line look into trying to figure out if I can structure claims like that. It's just claims are complicated.
So that's just from helping the connective tissue?
It's from working on histamine, basically.
Okay.
It's from supporting the MMP9 pathway.
I see.
So that's one sleeve. The other sleeve is supporting detox. So this is in no way a product that is pushing detox or enhancing conjugation. Like you might see detox formulas on the market, like milk thistle and things like that. It's nothing like that at all. It's more just if there's common genetic mutations like on B12 and B9, I've included the active form of those B vitamins so that, they're kind of like the quarterback of detox. So if you're not converting, and people, about 75% of the population have mutations on those enzymes that convert B12. So you consume it, but it doesn't ever make it into methylcobalamin, right? Or methylmalonic acid. And we just have compromised abilities. So I added the downstream form. And then I also included things like calcium D-glucarate, which helps to prevent. So when you have exposure to xenoestrogens or chemicals in the environment that act like estrogen, which is a negative outcome that can lead to all sorts of things like breast cancer and estrogen dominance. And so, people with chronicity, they tend to have this gut dysbiosis where they end up with excess of beta-glucuronidase, which is the enzyme that your liver goes through all this work to wrap up those bad estrogens, puts them into bile to eliminate, and then the enzymes in the gut then just unwrap them and put them back in the bloodstream. So we don't want that. So I put calcium D-glucarate, which helps to support dampening beta-glucuronidase, so we can eliminate those xenoestrogen chemicals.
So what do the xenoestrogens do when it's related to breast implant?
Yeah, so whether you're getting toxins from the environment or outside of you or from the internal environment, by having devices, you're going to need to be able to support the elimination of xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens act like estrogen, and they can cause imbalance in your entire hormone pathway, right? So, and I'm sure you could speak to estrogen dominance and why that's not ideal, but most people know a little bit. Nowadays, that's like a common thing, right? Estrogen dominance, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so
it helps balance the body in general, but does that do anything specifically for the breast implants?
So what it's doing is, let's say that your body, you have the silicone devices in your body, and your immune system is pulling off tiny pieces of silicone, and mobilizing them. They're going to go to the liver so that they can be eliminated. And if you have flora imbalance such that beta-glucuronidase is prevalent, which is very common, you're going to unwrap those. You're going to have the potential to unwrap those xenoestrogens and put them back into circulation. So it's like a big vicious cycle. Mm-hmm. So when we look at diseases long-term like breast cancer, and we look at the role of xenoestrogen chemicals in breast cancer, we see like there's studies showing calcium D-glucarate in conjunction with vitamin A is helping in the prevention of that particular type of cancer. So that's just a relationship. I'm in no way relating my formula to cancer, but but that's one example of how chemicals can be dampened, right? So we can help. So when you add calcium D-glucarate and vitamin A together, they're going to prevent the unwrapping of chemical estrogen, so they can be eliminated. Okay. It was a it was a long-winded explanation. Let me drink some tea.
Yeah. So you said there are three main blends, right?
There's one more that we haven't. Yeah. So the third is supporting the immune system. So going back to the early days when we're looking at autoimmunity related to silicone devices, even though this is still for the life of me don't understand how people can still say that it's not an obvious relationship, but there's still people who say that a lifestyle autoimmune disease is not necessarily attributed to a trigger like silicone or a foreign device, but in my clinical opinion, it's an obvious like relationship that it can turn on an autoimmune process. But there's things that we know about autoimmunity that like people who are missing certain key nutrients in their diet or because they're not absorbing it, they're more likely to have a dysregulated immune system that's going to lead to turning on an autoimmune process. So we look at the T regulatory system and the glutathione system and its relationship to basically like saying yes or no when the body presents cell tissue as antigen. So when the body is saying like, hey, like this little piece of your joint, we think it's a bad thing that should be attacked. And then if the T cells are agreeing, and like the T regulatory cells, which are policing the T helper cells, if they're not like really fostered by glutamine and vitamin C and the substrates that recycle glutathione, right? If that system is not nourished, then the body is going to be more likely to agree and say, that is a pathogen, attack it. And the next thing you know, you're like attacking your body, right? So I just wanted to make sure that everyone had all of those raw materials. And that's what the immune sleeve looks like.